Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Boom. Good morning. Happy winning on Wednesday, everybody. Hope y'all are having an amazing start to your day and start to your week. Thank you so much for being here. As always, you guys know my name, Mr. Joe Kampert here, and I've got a really special guest with us here, Mr. Eric Hemati. I'm super excited to have him on the show. Thank you for being here, brother.
I appreciate you inviting me, man. Last night.
Yeah, last night I was like, oh, crap. Tony's running the Invictus Conference in Houston, and I don't have somebody to run the show with. So shout out to Eric for hopping in here, man. I'm super excited to have you on. Just kind of
privilege.
Go through your journey in the industry. And then, guys, we're going to wrap up the show with how to stay organized wearing multiple hats in your business. I know a lot of us are wearing multiple hats. We've got a lot of things that we're juggling as business owners, especially within this insurance industry. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're excited to see you. What's up, Alante? Good to see you. Shout out to Lily. Appreciate you. Mr. Hanky, Miss Aaron, what's going on? And as always, before we get into it, y'all, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. Thank y'all so much for being the main sponsor of the show. We really appreciate everything you do. Again, shout out to Lily. She is our behind-the-scenes producer. So if y'all are looking for a virtual assistant company to partner with, highly recommend Viva. They've been amazing. And obviously, we utilize them here on the Clarity and Redwood side. On the syndicate side, we have agents that are utilizing them. So again, shout out to Viva. We appreciate you. Appreciate you, Rob, and all that you guys do. And as always, I don't know if I told Eric this, but we got to share our weekly win. So my weekly win is, it's actually kind of what we're talking about today, is how to really continue to stay organized and manage wearing multiple hats. A lot of y'all know I wear quite a few hats, and sometimes it can be challenging wearing all of those hats. But this week, that was kind of, just getting stuff cleaned up. Got a new product with you through Cigna, which I'm excited about that. And then also a new product, shout out to Matt Evans with this mortgage-free life stuff we're doing. But I had to take my 4-hour annuity course, which that's not my win because I haven't completed it yet. But that's my win. Staying organized, staying on my shit when I'm super busy. So Mr. Hemati, what's a weekly win for you, man?
That's a big deal too. Like taking on new training, taking on a new product.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive win when you can expand, what you know and with the value you can add to your client. So I think that's huge. So, I've got so many to pick from.
You can do a couple if you need to.
So one of my biggest ones, which is was just weighing on us, is I had some of you guys probably have office space that you rent, and I was in a lease for a long time, and my family and I had moved. We bought a new house, and I turned my 8-minute commute into a 40-minute commute. And any of those you guys that know, if you ever commuted on the regular, it's when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's only an extra 30 minutes in the car. I'll listen to a podcast. It'll be great. I'm all empowered and positive. But after a few weeks, I was like, this is
it adds up.
This is not convenient. And so thankfully our lease was up for renewal. I chose not to renew, and was able to grab some space with you guys. So that's a huge win for me personally. I hope for you guys too, but just to have a place that's closer to home, but also to be around other agents that are doing things, and I think for many people watching the show, I know me personally, like I work from home whenever I feel like it. I think a lot of people do. And, the more that you can surround yourself with people that are in motion, hunting, maybe not specifically the same things that you are, but they're after it. They're responsible for themselves, et cetera. Like that is a massive upgrade to
Absolutely.
the way that your life occurs for you, So that's huge,
I love that, dude. Well,
Yeah.
that was kind of nice words coming our way too. So I appreciate that. The feeling is definitely mutual. Even just in the few times that you've kind of come in and we're hanging out in the office, we were in the back talking shop. So yeah, man, I love that. What's up, Mr. Merwin? How are you, brother? How's Invictus going, man? Put that in the comments, dude. Guys, it's not too late, actually. If you are in the Houston area, really, well, I say Houston now because you're probably not going to make it 3 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, in the comments. And you have a bilingual or a Spanish-speaking insurance agency, life and health, property and casualty, Medicare, does not matter. Comment down below. Say what's up to Merwin. I believe they still have some VIP tickets left. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. They may already be sold out. But it's the Invictus Conference, and it's the first of its kind, speaking and really educating to those who are in that Spanish-speaking bilingual space. So shout out to you guys. I hope you have an amazing event. My brother-in-law, Gabu, is actually down there, so I hope you have a good one as well, brother. And so I guess, y'all, before we kind of get into what we wanted to talk about today, which, again, is how to stay organized wearing multiple hats in your business, I wanted to give some time for Eric to really kind of just take us through his timeline. Not to date him at all, but he has more years than I do in this thing, and I'm coming up on 10 years. But it's an amazing walk. We got 7. Okay, there's 7 VIP tickets left, y'all, if you want to go check out Invictus. But no, man, just hearing some of your story, even when you got to come speak at the agent hangout a couple weeks ago, just an amazing response from anybody that was there. And just, again, just kind of who you are and what you're about and how you run your agency, and a very successful agency at that. So take us back, man. Who was Eric Hemati even before insurance? How did you get into insurance? And kind of just take us through some of that.
Yeah. So, to kind of give maybe if those of you guys that don't know me, I haven't had a chance to meet yet. So we just last year inked a deal with Integrity. So we're an Integrity partner now.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have something for that.
Hey. I think they do a video every time they bring out a new partner, and I was lucky enough to get to ride my motorcycle in the video, and I think I'm the only biker so far that
Integrity
that at least publicly put it in their video. Yeah. So that whole crew is just amazing. I'm very privileged to get to work with them, and I never thought that I would ever go into the insurance business at all. So when I grew up, my dad's from Iran. So my last name is Hemati. He's from Iran. My mom's from, she's Scotch Irish. So, the joke is that we drink a lot and then we blow things up. My brothers and I, it's like, oh yeah, you guys have an interesting heritage. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So, my dad was an entrepreneur. And so he is an entrepreneur. He owned his own business. Started a computer consulting business in the 80s when nobody even had computers. And so we were, he would sell these computer systems to these doctors and attorneys and, dentists and whatnot. And we would go in and build the computers and network the offices back before the internet, so right. You'd be plugging in computers and stuff. And I learned, basically sales and how to sell from watching my dad. And so, my plan was actually to go into the ministry. And so, I was raised Baptist, and so I went to seminary. And when I was in seminary, I got recruited for a summer internship where we sold educational books door to door for straight commission. And nice. Yeah, and I had no idea what to expect. They sent me up to Pennsylvania. And I was in some rural county outside of Pittsburgh, and literally just driving my Ford Festiva around, knocking on doors with a yellow pad and a bag full of books. And we would sell these educational books to families. And after doing that for 4 years, I graduated from college, and I knew at that point, I got expelled from seminary. And so I knew, okay, I wanted.
We're not going to talk about that.
well, we can't. It's nothing. It sounds more glamorous than it is, so seminary has some strict rules. Yeah. I just broke some of them. So anyway, so I wanted to go into sales, and I had a network of people that I had sold books with. And this recruiter got me a job selling, it was like document services to law firms. And I was living in DC, and we would literally like make a list of law firms and go in and talk to them and sell our services to them. And that got me into software. So I worked with law.com for a while. We lived in San Francisco, and right when the bubble burst, actually, in 2000. So I was 25 in 2000. So you can do the math, figure that out. And so I got out of there, came back to Texas, and was working for a software company in Houston. And I just wasn't making the kind of money that I thought I should make. And so at that time, I think that year, it was 2000 and whatever it was. It was 2002. And I made almost $90,000, and which was not bad, but I was just like, man, I know I can do better than this. And I just really didn't have any direction in terms of what to do. And a buddy of mine was selling insurance, and he approached me and pitched me on selling cancer insurance.
Door to door again.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So when he pitched me on it,
yeah.
I said, well, how are we going to market this? And he said, oh, well, we'll just go door to door, just like we did selling books. And I'm like, what do you mean? So you go to a neighborhood and you like walk around and what do you say? And
Right.
so we had this approach and everything. And I was like, dude, I knocked on doors for 4 years. I'm never knocking on doors again. And if I was going to knock on doors again, the last thing I would want to sell would be insurance. Because I just remember Groundhog Day, that dude that gets punched in the face at the end of the
right.
And I was just like, dude, I don't want to do that. And but when we did the math, the money was just so compelling, and I also believed in the product. So a friend of mine had gone through cancer, and I just was very passionate about that product and getting people that coverage. And so my first year, I cleared over $100,000. That was a big deal for me. At the time, that was my number.
Selling cancer insurance door to door,
no leads, and and it wasn't easy. I mean, our hours were like, we would start at around like 10 in the morning, and we would work until like 7 or 8 at night. And because that's, people come home after like 4 o'clock, shift workers, and that's really where you made your money, And so you'd be going through the neighborhood, meeting people, and maybe you would sell a policy or two during the daytime, but you were really just collecting prospects for that evening.
Yeah.
And, then we got into selling it to businesses, and then my career kind of just took off. And so I was with this company as a captive agent for years, and I was doing really well. I was making, not over $500,000, but I was doing well. I was making definitely over a quarter, 3, 4 plus, for a few years. And I really thought that I was unrecruitable. I was like, dude, I'm really just not, I'm good. Right. And I ended up going to a Cody Askins training, and he did a free training in Austin. And I went by to just kind of see how the other half lived, like, hey, what do these guys know? Maybe there's something that I can use in my cancer business. Right. And just seeing like the way that he broke things down, it was so simple. I'm like, dude, like, I already know all that. Like, I do that all the time. And realizing, every time I sit down with a customer now, they'll ask me, hey, Eric, can you help me with my Medicare? Can you help me with some life insurance? Hey, I've got this 401k. I don't know what to do with.
Right.
And the whole time I was like, well, I'm licensed for that stuff, but I'm captive. I just have to say, well, no, I can't help you personally, but I have somebody who's really good who can. So I was like the best BNI member ever, I was constantly giving out referrals to other, insurance agents. And when I saw what Cody was doing, I was like, man, I really should I consider going independent? And I literally wrestled with that, marinated for almost a year before I pulled the trigger. And I had a couple of good friends that went independent. And finally I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious about this. And so I met Pete Fournier, I met a bunch of other people, and just like interviewed a ton of different like IMOs and things that I could potentially partner with. And after I made my decision to go independent and figured out how I wanted to structure my products and everything else, just to give you guys an idea, my best year as a captive agent my organization, we had maybe 30 people, 25 to 35 people. One week, I remember we had 42 agents that wrote business in a week, and that was like amazing. And we did a little over $2 million a year pretty consistently. My first 9 months as an independent agent. So I started in April of 2020, which was like, I felt like the worst time to start because it was like, oh my God, we're all on lockdown and, but it turned out to be the best thing ever because that year, I think really transformed the insurance industry, not only the way the carriers thought about how to
turn
get
to
business,
virtual, man,
the way the agents thought about doing business, but the way customers were comfortable buying insurance. Because before that, if I felt like it was very much a need personal business, like, hey man, let's get together, have coffee, drink, whatever. And that year, you couldn't really do that. People were like, let's just get on a Zoom.
Right.
And so finding carriers that were cool with that. Right. And that April to December, we did a little over $6 million in three times my best year ever. Right. Yeah. Just because we were independent, and we were able also to, one other thing is we were able to bring more agents on board because we weren't just pitching them on, hey, look how cool this product is and how great it is. It's, dude, whatever your clients bring to you, the answer is going to be yes. Like we got it.
Right.
And so, and since then it's just,
well, let me ask you, and guys, thank you I'm getting ready to play with this video. So thank you guys for sticking with us. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with this question so that you can answer this, and then I'm going to fix this video and then I'll be right back, guys. But you said something really good. And I know our audio is good. Yeah. So the visual isn't as important as the audio, y'all. So still stay tuned. But you said something, man, I just was not making the kind of money that I wanted to make when you went to, I think was when you first came back to Houston. What would you tell a maybe struggling or maybe just an agent out there that's kind of been grinding, that's been doing this thing that is not making the type of money that they want to make? Kind of just walk through some of that of like, hey, it does kind of, it sucks, right? But here's some things that you can do to kind of turn that around. And I'll kind of leave you with that and I'll be right back.
Sure. So, that was it. Like it was like, there's a great book called The Common Denominator of Success. And it's like a very short book. You can read it in like 20 minutes. But in there, the guy says something to the effect of, it's much easier for most people to lower their standard of living to what they're making than it is to raise the amount of money they're making to the standard of living they desire. Right. And so for that reason, most people, and I mean, I find this true even for like myself. I just went, I chose to do 75 hard this year, and I've lost 25 pounds since January.
Should we do it again? Should we do it again?
Thanks, man. But it's difficult because you don't see that overnight, right? In fact, in the very beginning, when you're making these changes, you see nothing, and you're giving up all the things that matter to you, and you're seeing nothing. You're getting no gratification, right? And so the reason that most people struggle to do what I just did, the reason I struggled with that for years is because it wasn't unacceptable. It was just like, well, so I'm a few more pounds, I guess, big deal, And it wasn't until I got winded playing with my kids that I was like, well, this is not acceptable. Like I will not live this way. Right. So I think the first thing is just get unreasonable with yourself and say like, look, where do I hate using the word deserve because I feel like at the end of the day, like we deserve nothing. I'm grateful to draw a breath. Right. But also like, dude, if you're going to go to work, you deserve to reap the rewards that you're putting out there. So the first thing is get unacceptable about where you're at. Like it's unacceptable. The second thing is to evaluate the platform that you're on. So for me at that time, like I wasn't selling insurance, I was selling something else. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to get where I need to get selling this. Right. And what else could I sell that would, help me get where I want to get? If you're selling insurance, and I've been in this situation too, where it's like, look at the platform that you're on. Are there people on that platform living the lifestyle that you want to live, earning the kind of money that you want to make? And is there anything that you can learn from them, right, that you can implement yourself? And sometimes, we look at other people and we're like, okay, well, that doesn't really apply to me. That guy's got 1,000 people in his downline, or that guy, is a lacrosse player and has like this huge network of people. I don't have that, right? Whatever, right? Whatever.
I'm from lacrosse. I'm like, I don't know if I have a huge lacrosse network.
You should think about it.
Yeah,
maybe
I should.
you do.
Yeah.
So, but like, think about like, what can you borrow that would apply to you, right? Like, right. And so, because it's so much easier to tweak little things in what you're currently doing than it is to just change completely everything that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a old Earl Nightingale story about acres of diamonds. I don't know if you've heard that. So for those of you guys that haven't heard that, it's a story of this African farmer back in the diamond craze. People were discovering diamonds all over Africa. And he had this farm that had been in his family for generations. He was like, well, screw this. I'm going to go find me some diamonds. Right. So he sells his farm and takes his backpack and his tools or whatever, and goes looking for diamonds, and dies penniless, right? After years of trying, finds nothing, and I think kills himself, right? Throws himself in the river or something in despair, right? And meanwhile, the guy who bought his ranch, right, discovered the second largest diamond mine ever discovered in Africa. The guy who wanted diamonds literally sold for almost nothing acres of diamonds so that he could go look for diamonds somewhere else. And it gives me chills just thinking about it, because I've done that so many times in my career, and some of you guys may identify with this too, right? But first, like acquaint yourself with what diamonds look like, right? Then like, if you have some territory, right, maybe you should explore that territory before looking for them somewhere else, right? So that's not to say that you should always stay where you are. There's a lot of vehicles that don't cut it. But if you're going to make a change, it's so much better to make a change from a position of strength. Like, I'm already kicking butt doing this. I could kick so much more butt doing something else, versus then I'm failing at this. Let me go see if I can find something. Exactly, dude. Because if you're failing 9 times out of 10, it's because I was not doing the things that I needed to do in order to become successful. Right. And so,
well, the two things on that, man, that I'm picking up, and I actually wrote something down earlier on what you said. But it's complacency. I think a lot of people become complacent with where they're at. I honestly, it's just kind of like a freaking way in life in this country right now, man, where people are just very comfortable. But I think, to your point, it's awareness, right? Being aware of kind of what's going on around you. And the note that I took was, who are you watching in sales, right? You talked about, hey, I need some proof of the pudding. And it's like looking and just, gosh, it's just doing your freaking homework, man. Be aware of what's going on around you. Be aware of your finances. Be aware of the other opportunities out there. I talked about this last week, where so many people are presented the opportunity and not prepared. And it's better to be prepared for an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. And so I think that's so important, man, because it really does just require awareness. And especially if we're talking to people in the insurance side of things. That's why I wanted to ask you that question, because you're not making the kind of money you want to make. Y'all, there's enough evidence. There's enough clues of success in this industry that can show you exactly how to freaking find success and ultimately make the money you make or you want to make. But I think that does go back to, who are you looking up to? Who's mentoring you? Who are you following? What are you listening to? Garbage in, garbage out, y'all. Maybe the reason you're not making the money you want to make is because of literally what you're consuming. Whether that's literally physically or whether that's emotionally, mentally, what you're listening to.
Well, and that is how you feed, your mind, right? Is the things that you see, the books that you read, the people that you hang out with. That's what forms how you think. And the other, one of the things, this is not to get all meta on it, but like, think about the thoughts that you think, right? The thoughts that you think, like, how do they occur for you? Are they pictures? Or are they words? 9 times out of 10, they're words, right? They're like, this sucks. I hate this.
Oh man,
my boss is a jerk, right? these clients, these prospects.
I love Joe. Joe's the best boss.
Right. Everybody's a liar, whatever, right? Those are all words, and those words can be changed with other words, right? So like, one of the things I learned real early is, like positive affirmations and being around people that are like, oh, I love my territory, love my job, it's the best business ever, right? Like, love helping people, love being of service. Like, I know today there's 5 or 6 people going to love me. I just got to find those people, right? Like things like that. If mantras that you can learn and repeat to yourself, keep you in motion, because at the end of the day, I saw this great t-shirt one time. It said, everything happens for a reason. And, I was always raised to believe, everything happens for a reason, but after a while, I didn't really believe that. I was like, dude, I think everything happens, but I don't know. But it's so funny. So the back of the t-shirt says, usually that reason is physics. and it's so true, because like, dude, when you take action, right, you get results. So if you have good nutrition, you'll have a healthier body. If you go to the gym, you'll receive results over time. If you make prospecting calls, you will find prospects. If you present your product, right, you will find people that just want to buy it accidentally. They'll be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I should probably get that. Right. If you don't take those actions, none of those things can happen. And you won't take those actions unless you believe, right, that those actions will take you where you want to get.
True. Starts with the belief.
With the belief. And the belief is words. And so the words that you say to yourself, the words that you hear from other people, right? When you surround yourself with people that are doing well and are, overcoming obstacles and not surrendering to defeat, all this other stuff, it seeps into your body. You're just like, well, I'm not a little, I swear on here, but like, I'm not a little bitch, I can do this. Right. On the flip side, if you're hanging out with people that are, oh man, like this new ruling from the FTC and leads and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. And I can't do that. Blah, blah. And I don't think that this business going down the toilet,
a lot of it right now. Yep.
There's a ton of it. I was on a forum yesterday and I was just reading it, and, like used to be, years ago, when I had more time, I would like just engage, and comment,
troll a little bit.
Yeah, just like, bro, it sounds like that's your bitch voice, right?
Yeah.
But now I just kind of, I think people are gonna, we're all like water. Bruce Lee says, "Be like water," but water finds its own level, and I was told that a long time ago. So like, you have to decide what kind of water you are, And so if you're operating at this level, it's because you think that's what you deserve to be operating at, fundamentally, underneath whatever else you tell yourself. That's what you believe you deserve.
There was a Stacy Rasky that joined the show on Tony's Tuesday show, and she was talking. I love this saying, kind of goes along with what you're saying, as far as like your level, right? And we're talking about awareness, and I will say too, on taking action, guys, just because you pick up the phone to prospect for one day doesn't mean that like the results are always going to be there. Consistency needs to back that action 1,000%, right? Don't just, oh yeah, man, I did it and it didn't work. And it's like, bro, you called on like 50 leads, right? But no, it's Stacy was talking about how everybody's always trying to raise the ceiling when they really need to raise their floor. And so like, what is your standard, right? They're always trying to raise this, but it's like, well, but man, when it does happen, because y'all, it will inevitably, it always happens, man. You could come in and be having the best freaking day. We could have this podcast going, and turns out my camera wants to be all freaking wild, right? Like life will come through and say, hey, dude, it ain't going to be the way that you thought it was going to be. So then what's your floor? How far do you fall? And I love that point where she talks about, again, raising that floor, raising that standard for yourself. And that, backed by consistent action, you'll continue to raise that floor to where then it is, oh shit, okay, I need to raise the ceiling now, right? Because my floor is like, I'm here, baby, I'm level. And I think, dude, that goes, I kind of want to pivot into what we're going to talk about today, because I think it's so important. Everything, the consistent action, right? The awareness of the seat that you're sitting in, the people that you're modeling and mimicking, and taking those nuggets where you can and implementing them in your business. It's ultimately what we're going to talk about, is how to stay organized when you are running a business and wearing multiple hats. And especially, y'all, if you're a one-man, one-woman show, you're wearing multiple hats, right? And so a lot of this will apply to obviously people running businesses, but also for somebody who is, hey, you know what? I don't have that staff yet. I just started in the past 6 months, right? Even Kenny, who we were just talking, the guy's been in insurance for 2 months, right? Okay, it's gonna apply, but it's gonna be a little bit different. But take these, right? Because the goal is you want to be wearing a multiple hat, but you want to. And I will challenge that. I think some people don't agree with the whole, no, you shouldn't be wearing multiple hats. And I think for me, my passion and where I really thrive is when I am wearing multiple hats. Dude, I love to recruit and I love to get on conversations and talk with agents all freaking day.
Who says you should
but
wear multiple hats? This is something you hear?
I just think it's where they're like, hey, well, Tony, I'm not to call you out, Tony, because it's a little bit different because he's talking about a product. But just, hey, single obedience and single obedience in a single direction, basically. And not to be, and I guess we'll say, to be a jack of all trades and a specialist of none is where I think people would challenge kind of like what I'm saying, where, hey, dude, I am doing this and I am doing this and I am doing this. But at the same time, I put in the time to be qualified to wear the multiple hats, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think,
or I guess, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think we're talking about two different things, right? So like, is there, just think medical profession, right? You got general practitioners, right? Internists, and then you have like heart surgeons. That's all I do is heart surgery, right? And I think honestly, like if you look at that profession like that, heart surgeons make more money than general practitioners, right? So there's nothing wrong with specializing and saying like, hey, I'm only Medicare, I'm only cancer insurance, or I'm only, I've made money doing both, right?
Right.
I think the more fundamentally though, the wearing multiple hats, the way I perceived it when you gave me this topic to talk about, is more like, whether you're specializing or doing multiple lines, you still have to wear multiple hats in your business,
correct,
right? Because
Yep.
you have to prospect. You have to.
That's what I was talking about. So
okay,
good job.
Yeah,
okay,
good.
We're good.
Yeah, you have to prospect. You have to present. You have to close. You have to do follow up. You have to do service. You have to make sure your clients get their products that you sold them. You have to handle cancellations. You have to handle billing service issues, right? Oh, I got this claim. I got you need your help handling, and then as you decide to, if you're an employee, maybe that's all you have to do because, employee, you have a function, right? But when you work for yourself, for those of you that do that, then you also have all of cash flow accounting and chargebacks and, lease payments and clogged toilets and whatever else that you might be dealing with, right? Depending on your setup. And so I think it's massively important to, I was coaching an agent of mine the other day, and she was just really overwhelmed with all the different things that she had to do. So she's got a small team, just to give you paint a picture, right? So she's personally selling over the phone. She's writing, 5,000-6,000 a week in annual premium. So not shabby, not breaking records, but she's good. She's got like 3 or 4 agents that she's working with at any given time, trying to get up to that like 10 agent mark, right? But she's also, she had an agent quit and rolled her some debt. She's having to deal with that, having to call the carrier, and resolve these payment issues. And she's just like, I'm just so like, I feel like every day I wake up and I'm just getting punched in, not just in the face, but every part of my body is taking these blows. What do I do? And I think that's the first thing that I wanted to like cover on our list here is a technique that I learned a long time ago. And I gave it to her, and she called me about a week later and we talked, and she's like, dude, this has been transformative. Okay,
let's go.
So, and this is very basic, very low tech. Okay. But it's also the most impactful thing I've ever heard about being productive. Okay. And you can take this as a floor if you're already doing something like this, build from it, whatever. But so the night before, so I said, dude, there's nothing you can do about today. Today's going to happen the way today's going to happen. Because it's already happened. Like even right now, like, you could think, oh, I'm going to strategize this and that. This is good points. I'm going to take the next hour and strategize. Don't do that. Cause you're diluting yourself. You're like avoiding doing the work that you have to do. Okay.
Right.
So just go do your work. Okay. And at the end of today, you take the last like 15, 20 minutes of your day and you make a list of everything. Think about tomorrow. What are the 6 things? And this is what I call the big 6, right? What are the 6 things that I need to do tomorrow? Okay. The most important things. And for me, the hack that made this workable was I didn't limit it to 6. I was just like, dude, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to number it 1 through 10. And I'm just going to make a list without caring what the order is. Right. So like, okay, I need to take my kids to school. I need to do that. Right. And just start making my list. And then at the end of making my list, let's say I had 9, 10, 12, 15 things on it. Right. You pick the 6 that are the most important high value things, right? Like if I do nothing else, these 6 things, right, need to get done. So you isolate those 6. Then you look at those 6 things and you order those in order of importance. Okay. So if I could only do one of these 6 things, which one would be the highest value thing to do? And let's say for me, when I first started doing this, I was still a personal producer. It was like, okay, I need to make a minimum of 20 cold calls approaches today. Like, period, end of story, right? Realistically, I should make more, but like if I got to do 20 or else I'm going to go backwards and not be where I want to be. So that was always like number one. And then, okay, now I got 5 things left. So out of these 5 things, if I can only do one thing out of these 5, what would it be? That becomes number 2, right? And you go through your 6 things. And by the time you get done with this exercise, it's taken me longer to describe it than it would take you to do the exercise. You'll have your 6 things in order of importance. Okay. Put it aside, have your evening, right? Get some beers, you hang out with your friends, whatever you do, right? Then when you wake up in the morning, you pull that list up and you start on number 1 and you don't do anything else until you've completed number 1. Then do number 2, right? You don't do anything else until you completed number 2. If you can't get those 6 things done using this method, you would never have gotten them done using any other method. Like, so, I mean, and let's say you only finished 3 or 4 of them. You've still done the 3 or 4 most impactful things you could possibly do that day.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is, like, for me, in the very beginning, I didn't like doing the exercise at night. And then when I would start doing it, it was like, I was so used to multitasking that I barely got through like even the first one. And it was like, I had to really become like I'm really allowed to say Nazi. I had to become a scheduled Nazi, right?
Yep.
And be like, okay, no, I'm not doing anything else. And the second thing that made this doable for me is I found this thing called a Pomodoro timer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. So you Google it, the free apps you can get on your phone or your Apple Watch, whatever. Pomodoro timer is a 25-minute timer. And so the idea behind Pomodoro is that you divide your day up into 30-minute segments. And so 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break and then on to the next 25 minutes. Programmers use it a lot, et cetera. It doesn't work for me to the extent where I want to divide my day up into 30-minute segments, because that's like super anal. I'm not that guy. But it does help to be like, okay, I can definitely focus on this one thing for 25 minutes. And then usually, okay, I need a 5-minute break to do whatever. And then, okay, my next 25-minute segment is going to be coming back to complete that. Right.
Yep.
And that, I'll tell you guys, like, I cannot recommend that method enough. It has skyrocketed my productivity. And, I
mean, that's the perfect one. That's because the one I wanted to talk. I mean, it's perfect because you specifically said, I need to do at least 20 cold hits. Right. And that's because he knows his numbers. You got to know your numbers, right? For it to, like, okay, hey, I can make the list, but if you don't know your numbers, how are you able to prioritize what is actually the most important? So I love that you said that. You got to know your numbers, which this is my favorite one that I wanted to hit on. And it's number 1 on the list, is using a project management tool. For anybody in the comments, what's up, Victor? Good to see you. Actually, Victor, I'd like for you to drop this in the comments, because I actually want to like talk about the tools and the systems that we're using in order to, again, manage our days, right? We're wearing multiple hats. So what are we doing to stay on top of all of our prospects, all of our clients, which that's the one I'm going to probably put a lot of emphasis on. Anybody can sell them, right? But are you keeping them? But it is using a project management tool. So for me, obviously, I'm viewing that as a CRM for my prospects. So for my CRM, which is a client relationship manager, for anybody that maybe doesn't know what that stands for, you just know there's CRMs out there. I use that basically as my prospecting house. That's my phones, my texts, my automations. Make sure you have opt-in for text, all that good stuff. And there's other features in there, but most importantly, it's the reporting. And I use SalesPipe CRM. So if anybody's in the market for that, hit me up. I've been with them for over a year. I freaking love it. But it platform. Is. You gotta be able to know your numbers, and right now, y'all, and even for a one man, one woman shop, invest in the process in the system now. Do it now. I'm telling you, because by the time when you start really cooking and you start really growing, damn, I don't have a system, and then you have to get everything that you have, and maybe it's on paper, maybe it's on an Excel sheet, whatever that is, and you may be able to import some of that, but just go ahead and invest into the CRM, the project management tool right now, before you start going, because that is the last thing that you want to come back and do. We talked about it at the beginning. It's the momentum and it's the motion that keeps you going. Invest in it now if you don't have that CRM, right? But that's just your prospect house. Okay, so then what happens? What happens when you actually sell the client? And this, I think, is one of the number 1 problems in our industry. They are just there to click that freaking button. And then once they click the button, dude, they ain't ever talk to them again. They don't care as long as they got that commission check, right? Maybe they'll call them if they see a chargeback coming, but that's about it. But the good ones, man, they are nurturing their clients. And there's so many multiple touch points following post-sale, post-bind. And I think that's so important. But you also, guess what? If you're growing and scaling, you're not going to freaking remember to call. You're not going to, and maybe you do out the gate. I remember I used to have people, okay, oh yeah, I remember. I know who they are, right? But like, you're not going to remember every single one of your clients. So we use an agency management system. I know this is more specific to the property and casualty side, so Eric can speak more to the life and health side. I know they have some different systems, but we use EasyLinks. And EasyLinks, as y'all know, obviously, if it's a standard admitted carrier and it's on the Ivans download, okay, it's going to just dump all of my client information in there. But then are you setting tasks to follow up? Are you welcoming them to the agency? Are you being proactive versus reactive when it comes to your renewals? Like, hey, like if you were to hit them up a month ahead of time and just letting them know, hey, look, your renewal's getting ready to come out. Please let me know if you have any questions. And if, obviously there's a problem, please give me a call back. Be proactive in that and communicating with your client. And the only way you do that, I truly believe, is through some type of tool, through a system. And then, what you got there, Victor, is create manual team touch points when your team is large enough and invest into the customer service experience. Yes, have to invest in customer service because, again, guys, anybody can get them in the door, but as soon as you get them through the front door, they're already running out the freaking back door, which does cause the roll up. It does. And that's so, guys, make sure you have your systems in place. Again, I use SalesPipe for my prospect house, and then I use EasyLinks to manage all of those client relationships. So I'd be curious, what all do you guys? I know obviously GHL is a big piece for y'all. What else do you guys use?
Well, before we even, I agree so much with your point. So it's less of a, I've been on the life and health side for 20 some years. It's less of an issue for us than it is for property casualty, obviously, because you guys are way more competitive business. And I mean, you're legally mandated to have it. Everybody and their mother's trying to get your clients. So, I mean, that's
right.
But I think it's a healthy mindset to have that somebody, my dad, from Iran, like he's just, dude, every day somebody is trying to come after you for what you have. That's his mentality, and it's just ingrained in me. Like, dude, like you're not taking what I built,
Right.
And so I think that's such a huge thing. A very under prioritized on the life and health side with agents for sure. So, in terms of tools, if you're looking for something, and everybody's in a different space, right? So like if you don't have, if you're cash strapped, right? Although, I mean, the systems that you're talking about are less than $100 a month. So it's not like, please budget some money for yourself.
But sell half a policy.
Sell something. But on the other hand, like I get, like, and everybody's in the same place. So like, I started out with like a Google Sheets, like Excel, right? I moved from that to HubSpot, which HubSpot has a free CRM and it's free forever because they're really using it as a loss leader to try to sell you extra services. It's always going to be free. Like they're a huge company. It's going nowhere. It's a very robust CRM. Even the free version is better than no CRM at all, or better than using a spreadsheet. So like those are some very easy free things that you can use. I also use ClickUp. So if you go to clickup.com, you can sign up for a free account. And unless you have a big team of people that are project managers that are in there reporting to you, if you're a solo shop, you can use their free version forever. So those are some pretty easy things. Now, once we started like deciding to automate and things like that, SalesPipe is a great option. I've looked at that. I have an account with them. I don't have my agency on it yet, but like I love what they're doing. We've been using Go High Level for years. And that's what I migrated to from HubSpot. So I literally just took all my pipelines and everything from HubSpot, exported them, brought them into Go High Level. There are multiple different Go High Levels that you can pick from.
There's like thousands at this point. I feel like
I will throw a shout out though to my buddy, Alex Branning. So Alex owns I don't know the numbers, but he's one of the largest Go High Level resellers in the United States. And it's called Agent CRM, agent-crm.com. And no matter whether you buy it from High Level directly or from a vendor, you're going to pay the same amount, which is $97 a month. High Level's affiliate agreement doesn't allow people to sell it for cheaper. So if you do buy it from somebody who is cheaper, you got to be careful because they probably won't be a High Level affiliate for long. And then you'll have to migrate your data, which you don't want to do that.
Right.
So like just use high level officially or a reputable vendor who's actually abiding by the terms of their licensing agreement. And so the reason I like Alex's setup is because he is in the insurance business space, and he's got multiple pre-built pipelines where you don't have to think about like, oh, how would I do this?
Isn't that the hardest part, man, is starting something from freaking nothing?
It is. It is. I mean, I did it, and I'm also the kind of person that's like, I'm very particular, I want it exactly my way. But even myself, when I started, it's like, it's better to copy what's already working for somebody and then iterate after you're getting results than it is to from scratch. Right. And I'm arrogant enough to believe that like I'm smart and I'm going to figure this out. But I've wasted so much time in my career doing that, guys. Like don't try to recreate the wheel. Just borrow something that's already working, get some results, fine tune that so that your results and your numbers, like what you were talking about. And then you can begin fine tuning what the system does, because otherwise you're spending hours and hours, which could be spent prospecting and making money. So,
Well, and that goes, guys, there's a few on here that I'm going to kind of cruise through just for sake of time, but it's have a shared Google calendar. My bad. So having a shared Google calendar, especially if you have a team, I would like to add one on there, have some type of messenger. So I use Slack. There's like Teams chats, and I've got Slack. Obviously, I've got Facebook Messenger and groups in there. And then Eric actually utilizes a Discord channel as well. So have something like that. Break tasks down into small actions. For me, I view that as just batching the same similar tasks together. Don't bounce all over the place. But then this is what Eric is talking about. And I think this was probably the toughest time for me getting out of production. And really just, we'll just say delegation in general was just tough for me, because it was always, I was particular too. Nobody ever did it like Joe, and they never will do it like Joe, that's something you need to understand. You're never going to find another you, right? We're all unique. We all have our own talents, our own strengths, our own weaknesses, right? Yeah. We don't want two Joes out there, two Erics, I'll tell you. But it's delegate your tasks. Okay. And it is something like where, dude, why am I trying to build out a whole freaking CRM? Right? Is it really an MMA, as Coach Burke calls them, a money-making activity for you to be doing that? Or could you be out going and making more money so that you could spend a little bit extra to get somebody, to build that out for you? I think that's so freaking important. It is like delegation to me, it was the absolute game changer for me. And I think sometimes people think they need, I can't find anybody to come sit in the office to delegate this stuff to. You can utilize third-party services. I shout them out every single time on the show, y'all. You got Viva Virtual Salute. Dude, hire a VA, even if they're part-time. Or, hey, I need to make more outbound dials, but I'm wearing a couple of other hats now, and now I've got more administrative work, so I'm not hitting the dials at like my 20 hits. Hire a telemarketer, right? Go find an intern. Victor Gonzalez. Dude, Victor, drop that in the comments if you could, man, your internship program. I love how you do that. But y'all delegate the task. And again, it was the most difficult part for me. Shout out to David and Elle Denning, because they finally are the ones who made me do it. I was in Closers Click in this coaching group, and it was the accountability. And they're like, Joe, you're trying to do this over here, right? And I'm trying to recruit, and I'm trying to scale, and I'm trying to grow the organization that way. But I was also still doing all of my own service and production. And so it's like, man, I can't recruit if I'm doing production and then it's like, man, but when I finally delegated that production and we brought Hanky on in service, and it was like, the best but it was tough. I will say it was tough.
Well, and I'm sure there's some people watching this who, for whatever reason, are not delegating. Okay. And, because of some of the tables I sit around, like you hear people talk, I don't understand why they won't delegate and da, da, da. But I remember like very clearly, it wasn't because I was lazy or pinching pennies or anything like that. I literally thought, and this is just a false belief, guys. I literally thought that because I could do it so well, that I was the one that needed to be doing it, And I also was like, my dad taught me humility and stuff. And it's like, dude, I'm not too good to clean a toilet or to fill out this form or why do I need to pay somebody to do that? I can do that. And so part of it is like, okay, I'm trying to be responsible with my cash flow. And I'm also trying to keep myself humble and not, think that I need to outsource some stuff that I'm obviously capable of doing. And the fact is, if you think that way, and I was in a mentoring group too, I was told, by the way, this is a side endorsement for coaching and mentoring. Please do yourself a favor and get around people who can encourage you to let go of some of your limiting beliefs, because you don't even know that they're limiting you. I still have limiting beliefs too. Like I'm on a path to exercise as many as I can, but you don't know what you don't know, and other people can see what you're doing and they go, why are you doing this? That's crazy. And it doesn't seem crazy to you, but it is crazy. It is limiting you from being able to scale. So the number one thing in business is scaling, right? So it just goes back to biology, right? Like your number one imperative as an organism is to survive. Your number two is to replicate, right? Every living thing on earth, it's either growing or it's dying. And that includes yourself. That includes your business. If you are not growing your business, like if you think, oh, well, I've got it to a nice level here and it's a great lifestyle business for me. Okay. My dad was in that situation and he was just like, dude, I have other priorities and I'm going to keep this running just enough to keep the cash flow coming in. And again, everything has its purpose. Okay. And if that's the purpose of what your business is, no judgment. In fact, kudos to you. And that business will die over time. Now, maybe it's by design. You want it to die because you want to transition to something else, but just understand like that is the characteristic of a non-growing organism is it will atrophy and die. So if you want to stay in the business, you want to perpetuate yourself, you must grow. Okay.
Yep.
Either by hiring agents or by expanding your ability to serve a larger customer base. Either way involves adding people to your organization, whether they're producers or whether they're functional people. They don't have to be employees. They can be on contract. They can be on project. I mean, when I first started outsourcing, I was using like Upwork and things like that, where it was like, okay, I need somebody like, yes, I can build a website. I've built many websites, but I'm going to force myself to have somebody else build this one. Right.
Yep.
Yes, I can set up a Discord server, but I'm going to force myself to outsource that. Here's a guy that'll do it for $200. Let me get that done. Right. Like, and then the biggest thing for me was when I hired a VA. And this was, I mean, guys, I've been selling insurance since 2003. So I got my license in February of 2003. I didn't hire my first VA until 2020.
Wow.
Okay. So, and I was making a few $100,000 a year. Right. So like I waited way too long. If I could rewind and do anything, it would be because when I hired that person and I didn't even know what I was going to have her do. I mean, I still remember she was like, well, can you tell me the job description? I'm like, it's literally to do the things that I need you to do. Right. Yeah. Like what, I don't know.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. But I found things for her to do because I was paying her. And it was like, dude, I'm paying her. I got to find things for her to do. Right.
Yep.
And that, and going back to Alex Branning, he told me something one time was so impactful. He was like, every time I do something that is not, there are activities you do that make you money. There are activities that you do that don't make you money, but that support your ability to make money. Right. Those, and when we tend to like say this is more important than that, they're all important, right? But every time I'm doing something that is not making me money, I think to myself, how can this be the last time that I do this, right? Pull a report, whatever. Like somebody else can do that for you, right? Yep. And so, and that question, I've entertained that question, and sometimes I forget, and then other times it comes back, and I'm like, oh, I need to entertain that question again.
It's guys, just a small word of encouragement, like try to stop working so much in your business and start really working on it, especially for those that are trying to scale and grow. And I'll kind of leave y'all with this 2 cents before we move on to the next one is, and I learned this the hard way, is that what works for 5 ain't going to work for 25. What works for 25 ain't going to work for 50. And what works for 50 sure as hell ain't going to work for 100 plus. Right. And I'm literally living proof to that. So y'all delegate the task. And again, I would say, don't wait till it's too late. Try to, and I get it, if you're balling on a budget, I totally understand was there for you. 100%. I get that. We did our own stuff for years just because we merely had to, not because I didn't want to try and delegate some of that, but try to delegate as much as you can, work on that business, not as much in it as you continue to scale. A few of these, stick to a schedule. We all know that. Me and Tony talk a lot about it. Just use your freaking calendar. Stick to a schedule. Block your time. Okay. Separate your duties with a break. It's actually really important there. I'm going to cruise through it, but for me, I always struggled with it because I use a calendar link and I always forget to freaking schedule like, oh crap, because then one person runs like 2-3 minutes late, then that call's 3 minutes late, but then I didn't have a 5-minute window in between the calls. Give yourself a little bit of time in between calls or appointments, unless you are dialing and that's your schedule. Hey, look, I'm pounding the phones. Do your thing there, okay? This is the next one, and I think this is how you learn how to delegate. You talked about it, and even when we first brought on Lily, I did not realize how much I was doing until I had to learn how to evaluate the task at hand. And for me, it was, dude, I need a roadmap. I had to write it down. And I think that's so important. I would encourage y'all, if you're really trying to figure out what you want to delegate, what you're trying to, again, just the task at hand when we are wearing multiple hats. Because this hat may have 5 tasks, and this hat may have 5 tasks, and this hat may have 3 tasks, or maybe 10 tasks, right? We need to be able to evaluate that. And I'm telling you, there is something with creating that roadmap and just writing it down, man. I just learned it, and it's funny. I'm sitting here preaching this because I just learned it the hard way with this new onboarding platform that we're building out and is now built out. I was like, I'm just going to do it. Right. I'll get in there and, this just was, and then I just I needed to go one level deeper where I started uploading all these videos and all these training videos, and I messed it up. And I was like, crap, I need to make a program and then I need to split it up by carriers, not by sales and service. And I'm like, and Olivia's like, yeah, if I were you, I would just like write it all down, like on what you want it to look like. And then I'm like, and then I do it. I'm like, crap, I got to redo all of this. Like, dang it, I just spent hours doing it. Right? I should have delegated, and which I ultimately ended up delegating, and they hooked it up. Shout out to Dave Williams and Olivia and Jarvie team. I appreciate y'all. But again, write it down, roadmap it, and it's so simple, yet it really helps you understand. Oh crap, okay, this is exactly the task at hand. What's your thoughts on that? How would you evaluate the task at hand?
It's so funny that you're bringing this up, man, because I think it's Abe Lincoln that said that if he had an hour to chop down a tree, that he would take the first 45 minutes and sharpen his axe.
Yep.
And just thinking about all the time that you wasted, it's got to be like completely frustrating. I know how it feels. It's like, man, I just literally wasted all this time,
like hours.
And dude, history is just replete with people that did not plan. Right. So perfect planning prevents poor performance. If you've ever heard that one. Right. So, but planning is not my strength. So I'll just be blunt with you guys. I'm great about taking action. I am not so great at formulating a plan. And so one of the tools that I've started using is, ChatGPT, AI. Like if you're not good at structuring, a list of tasks or things like that, just go and ask. It's just the easiest thing in the world now. Like the AI is so good. It's just like, you got to prompt it. It's just like, hey, okay, ChatGPT, pretend that you are an insurance agent and you sell property casualty insurance and you specialize in individuals who need car insurance, blah, blah, blah. And you are training a new agent to take your place. What are the key elements that agent would need to know? And it'll literally it'll blow your mind what it's capable of. And then you take it and then you make it your own. It's easier for me. I don't know how many of you guys are like this. It's way easier for me to edit something that's already done than it is to sit with a blank piece of paper and ideate. Right. Some of you guys may be completely the opposite, but I'm not wired that way. So for me, using something like that is so much better. The other thing is like, unless you're truly, truly like on an island, you probably have some people that are already getting the results that you want to get, on the training thing, right? It's like, are there platforms that exist that already do a good job of this? And maybe I can't use them for whatever reason, but can I get a peek at them somehow? Can I figure out how are they structured so that I can just borrow that structure, put my own content in there, boom, problem solved. So like, I think imitate first, iterate second is just a great.
To that point, dude, you'd be amazing you'd be amazed at how much you can get if you just ask. I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe are struggling a little bit more than they need to because they're like, oh, I don't want to hit them up, or ask them for it. And it's like, man, there's a lot of people that, and especially hopefully you're asking the people that are performing at a higher level than you and again, you're trying to get maybe to that level or surpass that level. I promise you, all of the most successful people I know, if you ask them, they will hook it up. They'll be like, yeah, what's your email, dude? I'll send you literally everything. Also, do you want some additional scripts that we just got done too? And it's like, and all you got to do is ask, y'all. I love that, man. Last couple here, and then we'll wrap up, y'all. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. I appreciate you, Jessica, or some of us ask too many. Not you, Jessica. That's just your husband. I'm kidding.
Well, and I don't know Jessica, so this isn't directed at you by any means, but if you feel like you ask too many questions, right? If you actually feel that way, stop and ask yourself, are you implementing the answers that you get? because so many people, I call them ask holes because they ask and you're like, okay, well, I would do this. And then they come back and they ask you, well, what do we do here? I'm like, well, did you do the things that I suggested last time we talked?
Mhm.
And after a while, like, yeah, then you are asking too many questions because you're not doing. And again, dude, it all boils down to action. If you're not taking action, then you're not going to get anywhere. I mean,
Yep.
You can't steer a parked car. So
That's true. That's true. And that is not pointed towards you, Jessica, because you
Yeah.
freaking
thank you
implement.
for teeing that
You,
up.
yeah, you implement freaking everything that we talk about and go through. Literally, she was like a freaking probation officer like
dude-
less than 6 months ago. Now she's running a freaking insurance agency and killing it. Like,
Well, so I don't know how you feel, but like if I have an agent I'm working with and they're asking questions and they're implementing everything dude,
keep it
I
coming.
can't give them enough
Right.
material. I'll seek them out to give them more stuff, you know?
Yep. I love that. I love that. So create a system of lists and processes. Okay, y'all is second to last one. So, and again, I think we all know that. Get your, and we're kind of sitting here reiterating and talking about it as well. But just through what does your onboarding process look like? Okay. How can you, again, replicate that for us? We use Jarvie, but it started with, hey, let's just, anytime you have a training something, right? Or, hey, you have a question where I can pull up Loom and I just do a screen share. Now I have that for, and that comes with, find out your FAQs. Like, what are you seeing the most frequently asked? Record some content on that. And again, y'all, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be a 2-minute video explaining something, but have something like that, a system. And that's what we're trying to build out in Jarvie. Also, maybe have some do's and don'ts in there. So you have your standards. And again, when people are joining your agency or you're training somebody, they get how you do business, I think is super important. Make sure you include that in any type of list or processes when it comes to bringing people on, or even just having that for yourself as well. But then the last one, and we all know this one, y'all, time block to stay organized and reduce stress. For me, a great way to time block is a calendar link, just because in one of my hats, it is, man, I am literally just booked with calls with agents that are not necessarily in my organization. This is kind of more the recruiting side of things for me, right? Really showing people the opportunity, seeing if they would be a good fit for us to partner. The calendar link and it's so simple. Just go to Calendly. A lot of our CRMs now, I know SalesPipe has, and I know GHL has it. They've got widgets in there where it'll automatically integrate into
Google
Calendar
yeah.
too. But have some type of calendar link, because it makes it so easy. And it's, hey, guess what? You can't book calls with me on Friday. That's my day. And that's my last note, is give yourself a day where, hey, people can't just book up all my time. So Monday through Thursday, you can book time with me from 9 to 1:30. Okay, so those are my hours where, hey, if you want to get on and talk some shop with me, then here's my calendar link. And then Friday they're either my manually scheduled meetings, right? Because, hey, I'm scheduling that, or it is my creative day. I'm playing catch up. I'm getting ready for the next week. I'm running numbers. I'm seeing where we're at, right? What needs to be, evaluating the task at hand. But find yourself a day, and maybe it's not a whole day. I say that, but it's more just so I'm in control of that one day, where the other Monday through Thursday, you guys, obviously you guys have probably, a lot of y'all have done it, but use a calendar link. And then for me, I said, give yourself a day, find a day, half a day, find some time, keep that yours, and don't let other people use that. What you got on that? Anything?
Nope.
Okay.
That was perfect.
He goes, perfect. Well, dude, real quick, Eric, man, I thank you so much for subbing in and for hopping on. I'm sure this will not be the last time, honestly. I mean, we may just have to get another mic and set up in here to have you join me and Tony on the weekly show. And we love having you in the office and everything you bring and all the value that you instill in others. And so real quick, man, just give them how can they reach out to Eric, and ultimately what's next on the horizon for Mr. Hemati?
Yeah. So if you want to hit me up, you can go to my website. It's just Hemati.com, and Hemati.com/connect. There's a link there. I actually use Google Calendar for to book appointments. Yep. It's free and simple. And what's next for us? I mean, we're exploring other lines of business to add on to just continue to better serve our clients. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is kind of the thing that has occurred to me recently, is like, when people ask you for something, right? Oh, you do insurance? Do you do X? Right? All of us get that question. Okay. If do you do X? And it's the same thing over and over again, like, you should consider adding that in, like, whether your current platform supports it or not, like, you're independent, get it so that you can be of service. Cause at the end of the day, like, you make money based on the amount of service and value that you're putting out into the economy. If people are asking you for something, like, for heaven's sake, like get it for him.
Yep.
I'm the guy that can get you things like Shawshank. You know,
yeah, exactly. Love it, man. Love it. Well, again, y'all, if you want to reach out to Eric, it's HEMATI.com. HEM as in Mary, ATI.com. So make sure and reach out to him, y'all. Again, thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate y'all and appreciate you sticking through to the end of the show with us, even with our video issues. And I'm hoping that you guys are finding some value, which is why y'all have stuck with us. So thank you, guys. Happy winning on Wednesday. It is the peak of the week. Okay, do not slow down. Let's get after it. And my challenge to y'all to wrap up is, what is your big six for tomorrow? Sit down towards the end of today, and what is that big six? Okay, evaluate the task at hand, delegate what you need to do, but ultimately prioritize what you need to get done, and then don't deter from that. So appreciate you guys. Happy winning on Wednesday. We'll see y'all next week. Later.